You're listening to Radio Cosmos.
All night long.
Bravo! My compliments, little lady.
Come on, sir.
Break for 30 seconds.
Come on, sir.
End of transmission.
You're now listening to BaaD Radio.
Hello and welcome to BaaD Radio. BaaD stands for Business at a Distance. This is a show about local businesses and business networking. We are here in the News Radio WFLA Orlando studios from 11 a.m. to noon every Sunday, and I am your host, Angela Smarito. And before I jump into everything, I want to give a huge shout out to some of our show sponsors because without their support, we wouldn't be here. First, Forge IT Consulting, providing a fully outsourced IT department with a personal touch for small business. ForgeITConsulting.com. Get Me Automated. Ashley and her team educate business owners to grow their business through custom automation. GetMeAutomated.com. Osteopathic Health of Orlando. They offer integrative medicine and regenerative medicine and so much more. So you have to visit osteopathic.healthcare to learn more about that. Last but not least, Body Street of Winter Park and now of Winter Garden. Experience EMS fitness where it only takes 20 minutes a week and you get a full body workout. Visit bodystreet.us for your free trial. All right. So again, my name is Angela Smarito and I am here with Yolanda McGee and she is my chicken lady.
Hello.
Hello. So just real quick, I mentioned EMS Body Street. So if you see me like grunting when I try to move, it's because I worked out with them yesterday and I am so sore.
It's a good hurt.
Yes, it is. Here, pull that down close to you. There you so you don't have to talk up into it. There you go.
Awesome.
Well, I am so excited to have you here today. When we were texting each other, and I was like, okay, I want her on the show. So let's make this work. So first and foremost, we have to just tell everybody why you're my chicken lady. So let's hear that part.
Well, I mean, I grow chickens, right? You know, that's what I've been doing for the last 8 years. And I made the business name My Chicken Lady,
right.
So that because people were calling me the Chicken Lady, you know, that comes along with it. But My Chicken Lady, it gives them some ownership.
Right, you're my chicken lady.
Exactly.
I think that's awesome. So you have basically a chicken farm in Oviedo, right?
It's a little outside of Oviedo in Geneva.
Okay.
And it started out as a homestead. Me and my husband bought it about 8 years ago. The house came with chickens, and
that's how you got started.
That's how I got started.
Is it for real?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
For real. I walked into the house, and there was this beautiful bowl of eggs sitting on the counter, all different colors and everything, and I was just wowed by that. And then, you know, just walking around and there were, 15 or so chickens just living their life. And I was like,
out, huh?
I was like, I could do this.
That's cool. I love your house. It's like you said, it's off of the beaten path, which I think is amazing. And it's over, like if you are kind of like thinking about, I always kind of, that area I always think about is like if you're going towards Black Hammock and then you just kind of keep going, like if you're going to be going to Ormond Beach or anything like that. There's the bee guy that's out that way. The honey, I call it the honey guy.
Yeah, Dennis.
Yes, that's his name,
Yeah.
Dennis. So, but prior to buying that and becoming my chicken lady, what is your background? I think you mentioned that you were a military brat, right?
Yes, all my life. Military brat, actually second generation military brat. That's how deep it goes. I, of course, went to college, got married. Me and my husband have lived here in Central Florida, everywhere from Orange City. Then we went to Winter Springs, and then from Winter Springs to Geneva.
Right.
And so before that, I did sales. I did business to business sales for a local company for about 15 years, and once that gig was done, I became a stay-at-home mom.
Right.
And we bought some land, and that's how all this grew.
Okay, so did you have any sort of like? I mean, I like animals. But I'm not a vegetarian or anything like that. But you know what I mean, like. So did you have any prior experience with working with animals prior to buying the property?
None.
Okay.
None, aside from, dogs.
Right.
But I was always that kid that sat around watching nature documentaries.
Okay.
And, one of my dreams as a kid was to be a National Geographic explorer. So I could
love
work with
that.
animals,
Uh-huh.
And so, that of course didn't pan out. I mean,
Right.
but this is my way of being able to work with animals and in their in a natural environment. But no, I had no prior experience.
Okay, I find that very fascinating. So how did you go about like becoming so diverse? Or I mean, how did you train yourself?
YouTube.
Oh.
There's a lot the rise of the YouTube farmers. A lot of it is YouTube. A lot of it is learning from other farmers. A lot of it is reading. I at one point became a master gardener with Seminole County. Just trying to learn how to grow plants, how to work that way.
Right.
But I wasn't really happy with how they did things because it was more of a battle with nature instead of working with nature.
I can totally see what you're talking about. I stink at growing things. Like I said, I'm envious of people when I see, like, I have a friend, Angela Keene, who has just like vegetables in her garden, and it comes so natural to her. And I'm like, yeah, no, that doesn't work for me, unfortunately. So
it didn't always work for me. I mean, every single season it was garden after garden after garden after garden, and trying and failing. And we've gotten to the point where we're actually growing in a way that doesn't require any type of fertilizer, no pesticides, no herbicides, just working with what nature has, creating compost, making sure we're working from the soil up in order to create wholesome food.
Exactly. And then you have to, like I said, you have to fight nature too, because you have all the bugs and everything like that want to.
You'd be surprised when you aren't using chemicals to kill what's in the soil, when you aren't using chemicals to make plants grow.
Right.
When you are enriching the soil with what the soil needs, you have less distressed plants, and then when plants are less distressed, they don't attract pests.
Wow.
They don't, not in the numbers that you would need.
Are you talking about like blood in the water and a shark kind of thing?
Yes, because plants they'll when they're in distress, they'll give off a pheromone, they'll give off a signal, and it draws in the particular bugs that are looking for that.
That is insane. That's crazy. Okay, well, that's something I learned today. So if you have healthy soil, you'll have healthy plants, and they will not let out a distress signal. That really is fascinating.
I mean, that's very high level, but that's the gist of it.
Right.
Now, people smarter than me,
right.
Researched it and came up with it. But the way that we started doing agriculture after World War II, this war against nature and this, trying to make everything submit to our will and everything monocultured and very structured, we're finding that it's just such a detriment, not only to the land, but to the food and to the people.
That's interesting. So trying to scale it, make it faster, more convenient, all those things that make it less and less healthy for us. That's, like you said, that's a testament to just letting nature do its thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's talk about some chicken.
All right.
I want to talk about what you told me. All right, so you have your egg chickens, and you showed me the pen that they're in, and then you showed me how one bowed to you, and I was like, okay, what is that? Please tell us about what that is about.
Well, it's so these were laying hens, and I just want to let the audience know there's a difference between a laying hen, a chicken that lays eggs, and a chicken that is used for meat. Okay, so talking about the laying hens, they have this reflex, and it's called submitting, and the rooster. If you have a rooster, I do not. But if the rooster, decides, hey, it's time for a little lovin', he'll come up and he does this little dance. He'll like put one wing out and he'll like kind of dance in a circle. And the hen will then kind of squat down,
Mm-hmm.
and then they have their moment,
Uh-huh.
and then everybody goes about their business. So
Right.
but with these hens, they don't have a rooster, and so I'm kind of a leader of the flock.
Right.
So I walk in.
Shoot. We're going to break. I didn't even that totally got away from me. I want to hear the rest of the story. So everybody stay tuned. We have more BaaD Radio coming up. Welcome back. And this portion of the show is brought to you by none other than Premier Couples Superstore. There is no better time than now to visit Premier Couples Superstore because they have got a huge selection of lingerie, toys, love oils, and a ton of great gifts. 5009 South OBT or shop online at premiercouples.net because a couple that plays together stays together.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what we're talking about, some chickens that play together, stay together. So we're here with my chicken lady. Her name is Yolanda McGee. She was telling us the story. That's why I just tied that in there.
That is an amazing tie-in.
I know, right? But so she was explaining to us how, like I said, how the chicken submits to the rooster, and they have their romantic moment, and then they move on. So this is, if I ask you a question and it sounds dumb, I'm totally sorry. A chicken can lay an egg without a rooster helping it produce that egg, being the other part of the moment. You know what I mean? Like, so egg or chicken eggs are just made. Like I said, they don't have to be fertilized. That's what I'm trying to say, that they don't have to do the deed in order to make an egg.
Exactly. Just like we've been making eggs all our lives, right?
Okay.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
Okay.
Same concept.
Oh, okay. I'm trying to talk around it without actually saying it, if you know what I mean. So how is the egg that does have that other element different than the egg that doesn't?
Well, I mean, it's only different if the hen sits on the egg for 21 days.
Okay. The eggs that you get right now, will those hatch into baby chickens?
No, because I do not have a rooster.
Okay,
So
okay.
Okay.
I understand now.
Yeah. Rooster's got to be there to fertilize.
Exactly.
And then even then, after the egg is fertilized, well, if she doesn't sit the egg, then no baby chick develops. So you can still eat that egg.
Right. But the thing is it's going to be an egg without an egg that you can sell and somebody else can consume, and it's still nutritious. It still has all the elements of an egg, but without being fertilized.
Exactly.
That's really interesting. Like you said, that's one of those things. It's not that I didn't know. I just never really thought about how that whole thing works. I thought that there had to be a rooster in order for eggs to be laid, but I guess not. So, is that something you knew before you became my chicken lady?
I did learn that early on. But there are some chicken ladies that insist on having a rooster because, with rooster, the hens feel safer.
Oh, okay.
Because he's their protector. So they feel safer and you get better egg production, anecdotally.
I see.
I don't have a rooster.
Well, they're
right
mean.
now.
That's why.
They're not necessarily. It all depends on the rooster.
Yeah.
It all depends on the rooster. I did have one that was mean when we first moved there, and well,
he's not there no more.
He's not.
No,
he's not. Mm-hmm.
I could go back down there, but we don't want anybody from what is the animal lovers of the world called? The PETAs. We don't want PETAs coming after us.
I don't name them.
Oh. Anyway, so you have eggs, and then you also have your chickens that are sold for meat, right? So you have those two different elements of your business.
Mm-hmm.
And then what's your distribution channels? Like, how do you sell those?
I sell, so with my license, I work under an exempt license under the state of Florida that allows me to produce up to 20,000 chickens per year.
Okay.
And the caveat is that I have to sell direct to customers. And so I sell via farmers markets or via pickup at the farm.
Okay. And well, how did you get in? Like I said, how did you find the right farmers markets? Let's just talk about that whole thing, like there, where you're like, okay, I've got this going on here, so I want to know about like the step by step. So you moved in, you're like, okay, I've got chickens, I'm going to do something with it. So like, just take us through that whole journey.
Sure. I mean, the journey was, learning. A lot of learning. A lot of learning. But around we bought back in 2017, so it was around 2020 where I really felt like I had my feet under me,
right?
And we started growing meat chickens along with the egg chickens. Farmers markets. Basically, our goal is to keep it as local as possible.
Sure, yeah.
And so I just submitted applications to local farmers markets.
Is that what you have to do? And you submit an application, and they have to decide if you are the right person for that?
Right, because you don't want too many of the same things sold at a farmer's market, or else, those vendors don't make money.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
And so I've been really blessed. Every farmer's market I've wanted to get into, I have gotten into.
Very nice.
And it's been fun. There are some that I have let go because I just wasn't getting the traction. The thing with farmers markets is that for so many years, there haven't been farmers in them. It's
okay.
It's hot food. It's a little bit of produce. It's
just
crafts.
called farmers market.
Yeah, it's called a farmers market, but in most cases, I'm the only or maybe one of two farmers at the farmers market selling products that they produce on their farm.
I never thought about that, but that's true. Like they have what they call the farmers market down in Lake Eola. We used to take the kids all the time, and they did have some produce areas, but other than that, it was all knickknacks. And I mean, they did have some that were like spices and honeys and things like that, but no, nothing else I can think of from the farm. It was basically more of like a food truck kind of a get together.
And so people aren't necessarily, they're surprised to see me there.
Really?
In a lot of cases, and the farmers market is just a stop on the way to another thing in most cases. And so they're not prepared to walk away with, frozen chicken
or eggs. Yeah. That's the kind of thing that you want to buy and go straight home and put it in the fridge. Unless of course it's pre-sold and you're like, just, I'm going to be here. So come pick it up from me at this point.
I do have some pre-sales, and I'm hoping I have a project in progress. I'm getting some branded insulated bags.
Okay.
And so hopefully that will encourage people to buy more and walk away, because then, their food is protected for a little while.
Well, how long, when somebody buys like a dozen eggs, do you sell them in half dozen?
I sell them in dozens usually.
Yeah, so when somebody buys a dozen eggs, how long can they kind of stay out before they need to be? Do they need to go in a fridge? I had somebody asked me that the other day, and one person said you don't need to put eggs in the fridge, like as long as they're eggs from a farm, or the eggs from the grocery store definitely have to go in the fridge.
It depends on if they are washed or unwashed. So an unwashed egg, fresh from the hen, it has an antibacterial coating on it.
Okay.
Because when a hen lays an egg, they lay one egg average a day, and you have a whole bunch of hens laying until they get a clutch, and that can take up to a week, maybe 2 weeks. So those eggs need some type of preservation. That's where that antibacterial coating comes in.
That's insane. That's so cool.
Yeah, and so this is this natural thing that happens in nature. So if it's called the bloom.
Okay.
And so when you wash that bloom off, then the shell is kind of porous. So it's more susceptible to bacteria and what have you getting into the egg from the surface. That's why they get pasteurized and refrigerated and sold like they do in the grocery store. But, if you look at like Europe or pretty much anywhere else around the world, they don't refrigerate eggs.
Yeah, that's crazy. Because to me, the first thing I think of is you need to put that in the fridge or it's going to go bad. So it's actually protected not like by nature. And they come in all sizes and shapes and colors and everything. They
really do, and the colors, and that's something that people are always really curious about, the colors of eggs. Because I have blue, I have green, I've got speckled, I've got brown, I've got white, all kinds of things. And it's so pretty. And it depends on the breed of chicken.
Really?
Yeah, there's a breed called Easter eggers, and they lay this pretty blue egg. It's like, blue to, green. You have French Morans.
Music is coming again.
I gotcha.
I keep catching you like mid-sentence. I'm so sorry. All right, you guys stay tuned. When we get back, we'll have more BaaD Radio. Well, welcome back. And this portion of the show is brought to you by Ground Up Property Services. Do you know what your sprinkler system did last night? Probably not. So now is a good time to get your system serviced by Ground Up Property Services today. And be sure to ask Rick Hall with Ground Up about a water sensor too, so your lawn doesn't get too much water. Call 407-468-4295 or visit groundupinc.net. Actually, it's been raining a lot lately, so you might want to ask about that. What is it called again? The timer, or not the timer. Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. All right, we're here with Yolanda McGee. She is my chicken lady, and we were talking about before break. We were talking about the different colors of eggs, and you had one that you called the Easter egg chicken.
Easter egger,
and the blue. That's the blue eggs, right?
Absolutely.
So I've always been, how we have like these ideas about things. I've always thought the brown eggs were healthier. Is that true or false?
So no.
You say false.
So about egg, the color of the egg doesn't matter.
No?
It is what that chicken is eating that matters. And so the color of the yolk is indication of nutrient density in that egg. The more deep orange the yolk is, the better the nutrient density of that egg, the better the diet that chicken had.
Okay.
And so when you've got, your industrial chickens are living in houses, all they're getting is feed. They're not getting access to bugs or greens. You're going to have those pale yolks.
Really?
Yeah. But when you get eggs, deep orange yolks, and they even have a different flavor.
I heard that I know they're better because my daughter has worked on a farm and she's brought them home, and her dad, my husband, they're like egg lovers.
Yeah.
I like eggs. They're okay.
But I've observed it with my own hens, the more access to bugs and just natural forage that they have, the better tasting, the more nutrient dense those eggs are.
That's fascinating. I was actually very curious how you came up with the concept of now I don't know if you have that same setup for your egg hens, but for your meat hens, you had that really cool contraption where you like had them, they basically they got to wander around and do all their thing, but then you wet the ground and then you pulled it over the top so all the bugs came out, and then they got to have all that sort of thing. So did you figure that out on YouTube too?
So the contraption you're talking about is called a chicken tractor.
Okay. Okay.
And so yes, I did find that. My husband found that on YouTube.
Very cool.
And then he created the design that we have.
Well, tell everybody about that, because like I said, my version of it was very very elementary.
Well, it's a 10 by 12 house made out of aluminum and hardware cloth.
And chicken wire.
And no chicken wire. Chicken wire is very flimsy, so you got to have something more sturdy.
Okay.
To keep predators out.
Well, that's just it. Is that I'm sure that they feel safe.
They do feel safe. And so we move that. It's manually moved. So I pull that along the ground morning and evening, so that they're not living in their own waste, and they have access to new forage at least twice a day, along with the feed that we give them. And they just grow really well that way.
Right.
They grow so well that way, and I couldn't be happier.
I think when I watched you do it, I thought that was the neatest thing. So yeah, when you wet the ground, then you're like, okay, this is what makes the bugs come out. And later on, or that weekend, we were over at my parents' house, and I can't remember if it was chickens. It was something where it had just rained, and all the it might have been in our backyard. All the bugs were up, and all the birds were just going to town. And I told my husband, I was like, I learned about that this week. I saw that my chicken lady showed me how you like wet the ground and move that over the top, and so they get, like I said, they basically get the freedom to walk around and do what they want to do, but they also get, bugs
They
galore.
do. And the reason why I keep them enclosed, we have so many predators.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, and these chickens aren't, they're kind of fat. They're kind of big. They can't move real quick.
Mm-hmm.
And so, to keep I've got an eagle that lives next door. I've got plenty of hawks. I've got owls. I've got raccoons. I've got coyotes. I've got foxes.
Yeah.
So that is to keep them safe. And then we surround the entire area with electric wire with 12,000 volts going through it, to keep anything from going in there and digging under.
Right. So let's talk about your chickens a little bit. So we'll just say it, you have meat chickens, and that's a big thing. Is like, I know that they pump a lot of stuff into chickens and into meat to make it grow faster. To, like, if you see a size of a chicken breast from 1900 early that's like this big, and now they're like this big, you can buy a chicken breast that's like the size of Texas now, in the grocery store. And everybody complains about that. So how do you raise your chickens? What is their diet, and how do you keep them healthy?
So the breed of chicken that I use to raise, or that I raise for my business, is Cornish cross.
Okay.
Cornish cross is a hybrid. So a hybrid just basically means they take a couple of breeds of chicken and they breed them down in a line till you get the result that I purchased from another farm.
Okay.
I purchased them as day-old chicks.
Mm-hmm.
And from the time I receive them as day-old chicks to the time that we harvest them is 7 or 8 weeks.
That's just not very long at all.
It isn't, but here's the cool thing. In that, between that 7 to 8 weeks time, I can grow a bird that's about 5 pounds.
That's amazing.
Right. And there's no hormones involved in this, because you have this phenomena that happens when you have first generation hybridization. The offspring are always bigger.
Wow.
And they grow faster than the original breed.
That's amazing.
And so the longer you grow them, the larger that that chicken is going to be. And so those big breasts that you see in the store, it's not that they've been pumped full of hormones.
Oh, okay.
It's that they've been grown to that size. They've been grown for 10 or 11 weeks.
Oh, they'll get that big? Yours will too? If you let them?
Yes, if I let them. I personally think that the meat is tough once you get to
a certain level.
once you get to a certain age. And so one thing I want to point out to everybody, hormones in the poultry industry does not exist. It was outlawed in the 1950s for hormones to be used in the growth of poultry. It is still legal in beef.
Okay.
But it is not legal in poultry. And I challenge anybody to jump on the internet, because I'm a small producer. I use the same internet as anybody. I challenge you to jump online and go find some growth hormones for poultry.
Wow. See, because that's what everybody says. Oh, it's the hormones they pump into it. And so that's just
No,
not true.
It's the hybridization. And the reason why the chicken breast from early 1900s versus now, that hybrid breed didn't exist until post World War II.
Wow. See, that's fascinating. I thought that's what it was. They pumped hormones into chicken so that they grow twice the size, so that they can, and they grow, so that they can make more money. Really, but it's not true. Wow.
It's not true. The nastiness in the industrialized farming is in the unethical way they're grown. It's in the filthy conditions. It's in the way that they're slaughtered. It's all of that. Those are the endemic problems.
Okay.
It's not the bird. It's not the bird itself.
Wow. Okay. Well, thank you for. I'm super glad that you told us that. I'm sure there's plenty of people that are listening right now that are like, "Wow, we did not know that. We thought that it literally was them pumping chickens full of hormones so that they grow exceptionally large, and it's just not natural, but it is actually. So, all right, well, we're going to run to break. When we get back, we're going to talk about all the places that people can get in touch with you so they can buy your eggs and your chicken. So we're going to be right back with more BaaD Radio. Well, welcome back, and this portion of the show is brought to you by Frogger's Grill and Bar. Looking for a place to go with friends or meet new ones? Then you're looking for Frogger's Grill and Bar, and with 4 great locations, there is bound to be one near you. And you don't want to miss out on Frogger's amazing menu where everything is fresh, never frozen. Oviedo, Mount Dora, Apopka, and Altamont Springs. And you visit Froggers.com for more information. Froggers Grill and Bar, hopping with food and fun.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah, boy. I love my little sound bites in there. So we're here with my chicken lady. Her name is Yolanda McGee, and we've talked about, like, she's just given me one of those aha moments, talking about how they don't pump hormones into chickens to make them grow abnormally large sizes. And so that, like I said, that is something I'm going to take away from today and say, you know what, I learned this today, and it changes the way I feel about, like, when I see chicken in the supermarket and whatnot. But ultimately, what I want to do is just buy all my eggs and chicken from you. So that's what I'm going to do.
Yay.
And speaking of that, let's talk about ways that people can get in touch with you and how they can buy your products.
Well, the best way to get in touch with me is to go to mychickenlady.com and place an order. Now, you can place an order for pickup at the farmer's market, or you can place an order for pickup at the farm.
Okay, which farmers markets do you attend?
I attend the Maitland Farmers Market, which is...
And when is that and where?
It is every Sunday. It's on Independence Avenue in Maitland.
Is it right on the lake right there? The little pond?
No, it's moved from the lake. It's,
okay.
It's on a road by a big apartment building, Independence Ave. And so you can find me there on Sundays between 9 and 1.
Does it have a big open field with a huge tree, like right in the middle of it in Maitland? I think I know what you're talking about. It's on the back side of the apartment complex, right?
Yes.
With it, okay, I know that they had the Maitland Jazz Fest there. So, okay, I know exactly what they're talking about. All right. That's a nice area.
It is. It is. And it gets good traffic. So,
yes,
yeah.
Definitely.
I also attend the Oviedo Farmers Market, which is the first Saturday of each month.
Okay, so it's only once a month.
It is going to only once a month starting in August.
Oh, is it? Why?
That second market. Well, the second market just wasn't well attended by people or vendors. Okay, so they're going down to one day a month. Okay. So first Saturday of every month, and it's going to be between 9 a.m. and 2 p.m.
The farmers markets usually are earlier, and then they cut off at a certain time just because it gets so hot.
Exactly. I also attend the 1887 night market, first Saturday of each month in Eatonville.
Okay.
In Eatonville, and that's between 5 p.m. and 9 p.m.
All right. So you have something to do on that first Monday or that first Saturday of every month. Busy.
It is busy for me. It is. And then last, I attend the Audubon Community Market in Winter Park in Stardust Cafe. And that market is every Monday between 5 and 8.
Okay. So if somebody wants to come buy direct from you, do you have eggs plus chickens at those? So if somebody doesn't pre-order it, they can still come and find you?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And so, but it is, of course, first come, first serve, and I always run out of eggs.
Yeah.
First.
Okay. Well, it's hard because you don't know how many, and traveling with all those. So, what is the best way? Is the best way to kind of pre-order online?
Pre-order online, and that way that you're getting what you want, because then I set everything aside.
When people go onto your website, well, I'm not on there right now, but how do you break it down? Like, do you just give them whatever random eggs, or do people say, I don't want the blue ones, or does it matter? You're like, hey, if you're ordering a dozen eggs, you're getting which ones I put in this thing.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
pretty much. I mean, because again, they're all eating the same thing. And so I know that I do have some people that are uncomfortable with colored, the oddly colored eggs, as they call them. I mean, if they leave me a note, I'll try to make sure that they get what they want.
Right.
But I mean, there is no difference.
Right. Well, I mean, there's difference in size though sometimes, right?
There's
Bigger,
a difference
smaller.
in size.
Mm-hmm.
But I try to make sure that, there's an even mix.
Yeah. Anna's, or my daughter's brought home some that were like almost like crinkly. They had like a little bit of a crinkle type of texture to them. I thought that was cute.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So so is that what you have right now? Do you have a good amount of people that just place an order online, and do they come by and pick it up, or do you like how does that process work?
If you place an order online for your preferred location, then I will show up at the market with that.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you choose to come to my home, I have a lady that regularly comes to my home every Thursday and picks up, her order.
Okay. Is that what you would like for people to do, or do you do any sort of delivery system or anything?
I do not do delivery. The logistics are astronomical.
As far as like making money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I do not currently deliver.
No, that's fine. Like I said, I get it. Gas is expensive, and honestly, it's safe. I think of the safety part of it because I wouldn't want to be driving to people's homes and doing stuff like that. Even though I did work in sales in radio, there was more than one time that I said, "Hey, if you don't hear from me in 20 minutes, call the cops." I have to go get a check from some producer somewhere, for something. Well, like I said, what are some of the other things that you would like to tell the audience? Because we have about 3.5 minutes left, and I really want people to get to know you and kind of like, what are some of your goals? What would you like to see happen with your farm?
We want to move to a model where we're doing chicken, eggs, and pork,
Okay,
and a market garden.
like your vegetables.
Yes, our vegetables. And by the way, I've got some tomatoes for you.
Yay! I love tomatoes.
And so we're working toward building out so that we're offering more for proteins, but also for veg.
Okay.
And so we've got great things that are coming up in the next years. But we're now dealing with trying to build infrastructure.
Yeah.
To support those enterprises.
Right. No, I get it. It's like you have all these things, and they're all these different places. And then we have bad marketing is you work with chickens and food. I work with websites and advertising and things like that. And it's like you can do all these different things, and it's all over the place. But bringing it all in and making it work all together, and then figuring out if you're making money at the end is not that easy.
It is not. I mean, and we're a bit different from most businesses because we have to grow the product, then we have to
You have to keep it healthy too.
we have to grow it, we have to keep it healthy, then we have to harvest it, then we have to package it, then we have to distribute it, and it's all on us.
Right.
And there's it's me, my husband, my oldest daughter, it's 28, my youngest daughter. This is not her dream. And so, but it's on us to make all of this happen,
Right.
and all of these moving parts, but we're dedicated. We're dedicated to getting it done, and because
I love that.
this is something that is needed because people need alternatives to get clean food on the table for
You
themselves
hear that,
and their
guys?
families.
Clean food, clean chicken, clean eggs. That's what you want, and that's what my chicken lady has. So, go ahead and, like I said, give everybody. We still have a little bit of time, but go ahead and give everybody your website.
Absolutely. Please visit mychickenlady.com. That is the website where you can order. You can also read our origin story.
Okay.
You can also follow us on social media.
Definitely.
I am on Instagram and Facebook. And there's also an option to join my newsletter, which I send out once a month. I usually have a topic for discussion, as well as any news from the farm and a schedule for markets.
And if somebody has some questions, should they just DM you like on your Facebook page or something?
Absolutely.
Is that a good way to do it?
It is a good way to do it, or my business number is available in all of those sources, and you can text me.
Okay. Excellent. Well, thanks for being here today. It
Thank
was
you for
a pleasure
having me.
having you. And you guys, thanks for tuning in to BaaD Radio. Have a great week, everyone. And remember to support local.